Hey there, I want you to be sure that you are maximizing profit as an entrepreneur. And there are some methodical ways that you can do that. Number one, for everything that you sell, you should understand what your cost of goods sold is. That's COGS, C-O-G-S, right? So let's say you make soap, right? You should not just randomly choose a price without understanding how much your profit margin is. Your profit margin is going to be the total price that you charge less the cost of the goods sold. Whatever is left over is your profit margin, right? So you really need to think about, at the unit level, how much has every single input cost me? And then not just the input. Think about the packaging. Think about the tape that you're using. Think about anything you have to pay a person per sale that you make, right? I want you to take a step all the way back and really think about what your cost of goods sold is, and think about it at the unit level. If you're selling t-shirts and the t-shirt itself cost you $5, right? Then you need to really think about not just what you're charging, right? But how much you have left over in profit margin after you've paid for the input costs. Okay? If you are doing consultations online, then honestly, you're not paying per sale that you make for those consultations, except for the processing fee that somebody is charging you, right? So if you're using Stripe to collect funds for that service, Stripe is taking 2 to 3% per sale, right? So your profit margin might be 27% for every sale, but it's very, very important for you to think about what your profit margin is for every single product that you sell, so that you maximize your profit margin, right? Because it could be telling you that your cost is too low, right? It could be telling you that, oh man, this is very, very lucrative, so I actually can up these sales, right? And have enough extra money to kind of cover these lower profit margin items. Whatever the case may be, you just need to understand what that is, right? A lot of folks do events without really assessing the COGS associated with every single person that comes in, right? So it is not just about randomly setting a price for the ticket, because there are expenses you must pay per person, right? There are expenses you must pay per plate that is served to the person. Many venues charge per chair, right? You could be paying for other things, right? Maybe you're giving them little trinkets as they come in. Maybe you're giving gift bags, etc. So think about what that mix is, so that you can make sure you have enough incremental revenue to cover everything else, right? Because you actually have to pay upfront costs to even make the sale. But then to keep the lights on in the business, it comes from your profit margin, your gross profit margin. It comes from your gross profit margin. So anything that's left over, that excess above the COGS, that's what you're using to pay your rent. That is what you're using to pay your employees. That is what you're using to pay for office supplies. That is what you're using to pay for internet, electricity, etc. Right? So maximize that gross profit margin, so that you have enough excess to cover everything and then to pay yourself at the end of the day. It could look like, changing your suppliers so that you're more cost effective. It could look like buying in bulk more, right? So that your per unit cost for everything that you sell goes down. It could look like limiting the number of low gross profit margins that you sell and increasing the number of high gross profit margin products that you sell, so that you have even more flowing down to support the operational expenses of your business. Because for the operational expenses, it doesn't matter if you made one sale or 1,000, it is the same, right? And that is what you must make sure you have enough money flowing down to cover. Variable expenses are usually your COGS. They fluctuate based on the sales you're making, right? And then fixed expenses, they stay the same, whether you're in a recession or you're not, whether you have a lot of sales or a little bit of sales, right? So think about that mix. I hope this helped.